accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, PL 1975, Chapter 231, adequate notice of this regular meeting of the Planning Board of the Township of Franklin has been provided. If everyone could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you would just call the roll, Christine.
Rebecca Hilbert. Here. Jennifer Ragnow. Here. Theodore Chase. Here. Mike Chairman Orsini.
Present.
Robert Thomas.
Here.
Mahir Rafiq.
Here.
Robert LaCourte.
Here.
Charles and Ram asked to be excused this evening.
Thanks, Christine.
You're welcome.
So, an announcement, we will not be hearing the
301 Route 27 in Somerset, New Jersey on April 17th at April 17th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. It will be noticed on the website, and there's a link that will also be appearing on the agenda that will show you all of the applicant's documents.
Thanks, Christine. And given that the deadline for action is 2/29, I will just for now ask for an extension till April 30th.
John, you have to say it into the mic just so we can hear you. What's wrong with them?
We consent to the
Okay.
extension to April 30th, and we'll provide that in writing.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you. Yeah. Give it. No, because
Be a lot more than 30, I think.
Applicant to the public. No one up here? Not. You're the out there is disappointed. Yeah, exactly. Everyone out there is disappointed. The board schedules its agenda to hear. Oh, yeah.
You know I'm getting ready.
If I can find out before April, I will get you an answer.
Oh, no, my name's Carla Visser. I'll
Peter
give you a
Vignola.
card. Yeah, right.
So if everybody can, who,
For L'Oreal, that's actually a healthy number.
It is.
Traffic controls we can.
Okay. Like, I just looked over, I'm like, hey.
Action tonight. Show us your new.
I'm gonna put it all in my open. Get some input.
all right. So the perfect is the enemy of the good, so let's just do this. The minutes for the regular meeting of January 3rd, need a motion for those.
Move to approve.
I'll second.
Jen, is that you?
Jim?
It was Jen? Okay.
Oh, for January,
Oh, Jen, no, you can't. No.
I can't either.
Just Jen, Bob LaCour, and Mike Orsini cannot second, so somebody else has to?
I second.
Okay, Mahir, thank you. Okay, Theodore Chase?
Yes.
Sammy Shaban?
I'll just mention that I emailed several very minor changes to Christine, and she said she'd incorporate them. It's like not capitalizing Genesis.
Yeah, that's already been done, thank you. Sammy Shaban?
Yes.
Mahir Rafiq?
Yes.
Robert Thomas?
Yes.
Rebecca Hilbert?
Yes.
All right, so there's no discussion items, no resolutions, so
131 are 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. Does that mean school buses? The traffic estimates generated by the Land Use Code 220.
I'm sorry, can I
Yeah.
need to ask our attorney a question.
The pending application, Mr. Thomas?
So it is a pending application. Should I leave the room? Am I allowed to stay here, or what is the?
It's before the zoning board. Yes.
My mic is on now. So, I mean, it's a public comment. I would rather not have comments on if you would like to step out of the room for comfort because you're going to actually hear ultimately the application, I would probably prefer that. And we can wait till the end of it.
the question I would have, though, is if it's a matter before the zoning board,
I mean, people are allowed to come make a
Yeah.
comment on anything before your board. I would say that none of you should make a comment regarding a pending application before the board, so someone can essentially say words in the air, is really what it comes down to, based upon the fact that we're required to have a public comment section.
it's just not our jurisdiction. It's going to be before the
I
zoning.
just wanted to get it on the record. I mean, I was nothing there at all. I used to walk down to Seeley's Brook. So I've been there a long, long time. As I was saying, 200 units, 131 of them are going to be 2- and 3-bedroom apartments. So I'm assuming they're going to be children, which means you're going to have an impact on the school. The traffic estimates generated by the Land Use Code 220 is for low-rise housing, and it's done by the Institute of Transportation Engineers. They say that weekday peak will be 85 cars leaving. Assuming only one vehicle per apartment, which is highly unlikely, and excluding school buses, only about 35% of the cars leave at the peak time. Are you assuming a lot of stay-at-home moms or work from home or flex hours? Seems to me there'd be a lot more cars leaving than 35% of the apartments. The traffic estimates generated by the land use engineers, 820, for a fully functional shopping center is 38 leave and 273 enter. There are no real-life measurements, and there can't be, because Kmart's been closed for a long time. But they're showing what the estimates would be if there was a fully functioning department store there. Anyone in this room could have make another right and then try to make the left-hand turn onto JFK. It's almost impossible at this point to make the left-hand turn out of that shopping center onto JFK.
So can I just interrupt you for a second? All of these details are things that this board is not going to be able to do anything about in terms of this application. When I said general planning comment, I mean, they're traffic expert. I mean, we're not even going to hear this application. As you know, it's going to be the zoning board. So
Okay.
if you have a general planning comment in terms of like a high level, general, like maybe what you would prefer to see there, or what kind of use, or a larger planning
Yeah.
comment, we'd be happy to hear that.
Well, the one thing that I'm very concerned about is that one thing they said in their application was they were reducing the impermeable coverage all the way down to 73%. We have regulations that's supposed to be 70%. I would like the zoning board, if they have an opportunity for a development, to hold to that 70%. We're having too much flooding in Franklin. Also, when the planning board looks at these things, take a look at their data. So then when somebody gets up and says, oh, well, the state says we only have to have this many. It doesn't say that's all you can have. You can have more than that. Okay? Just general things like that, and also when things come before the planning board and they talk about the public transportation in Franklin, realize it's virtually nil. Almost every week I get a notice on my email saying that one of the routes has been canceled. I was in the diner last week, and a girl was complaining she couldn't get to work on time because the bus didn't come. And this happens very frequently. So just keep in the back of your minds that when these applications come in, and the people who are preparing them are just doing stuff on paper. They see we have a scoot system. They think it functions. We know it doesn't. Okay? So I have a lot more of this, and I will do it at the appropriate place. I'll bring it to the zoning board, because I know Mark told me to bring it to the zoning board anyhow. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
There is.
Good evening, Shirley Tallman, and I live in Canal Walk on Tallman Way. So that's the first one. The second one is the scenic corridor, which we're all very familiar with because we had so many meetings on B9. What I'm wondering is the progress or lack thereof in completing the commitment that was made to put the cameras up to monitor the semis that are still illegally coming down the scenic corridor. It happens, unfortunately or fortunately, I am situated right at the corner of Weston and the scenic corridor. And on a Sunday, when I'm sitting there and taking a break and having a real breakfast, I have counted as many as 6 to 8 semis that take shortcuts off of Amwell, I assume, and come right down that scenic corridor. Some of them can't even make the turn. Some of them go on Weston Road. Some of them come straight down to Schoolhouse, hang a right, I assume, and go over to maybe Amazon.
A informational.
This is an informal presentation, as
Right.
we are referring to.
We will not be, they were not asking for an approval or a vote tonight, and nor will we give one. This is really just input on what the planning board directed the applicant to do the last time, at the last hearing.
That's right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a reminder, my name is Sean McGowan. I'm a partner at the law firm of Greenbaum, Rowe, Smith & Davis, and tonight I am representing L'Oreal Products USA with regard to their pending ongoing application for their property at 100 Commerce Drive. That's block 86.03, lot 10.32. On December 6, 2023, L'Oreal appeared before this board with a proposed plan to expand its existing manufacturing facility at 100 Commerce Drive that met the bulk and use requirements of the B1 zone. At that hearing, L'Oreal was requesting preliminary approval for one section of the building improvements that were part of the proposed plan and preliminary and final approval for the landscaping and stormwater management improvements proposed to be made on the property. However, during L'Oreal's presentation, L'Oreal wanted to take the opportunity to review their plans and internal operations. Upon review, L'Oreal determined that changes could indeed be made to the proposed plans to further reduce potential impacts to the surrounding community. On January 9th, L'Oreal, its site engineer, and myself met with the board's planner and its consulting engineer to share a revised concept plan that it had developed. At that meeting, Mr. Healy suggested that we attend this evening's hearing and present the revised concept plan to the board on an informal basis to gain insight before proceeding to develop a fully engineered site plan based on the concept plan. Accordingly, L'Oreal is proud to present its revised design for the expansion of the existing facility. It is important to note, however, that L'Oreal is not requesting that any formal action be taken tonight. Rather, tonight's presentation is to hear comments and elicit discussion from the board on the revisions that L'Oreal has made to the plans to address the board's earlier concerns. If the board is generally receptive to this plan, L'Oreal will proceed to develop fully engineered to the proposed changes from the original plan presented to the board. L'Oreal has worked hard to develop a plan that will move the expanded building further away from the residential setback line and to screen the loading bays and truck traffic from residents to the rear of the property. Additionally, parking has been removed from the northern side of the building, and the proposed access driveway on the rear of the property will be for emergency purposes only, thereby further reducing impacts to the residents on Dahmer Road and Gary Court. The plan remains fully compliant with the township's zoning ordinances, and therefore it is not anticipated that any variances will be requested from the board should this plan be fully developed and presented at a future hearing. Also important to note is the drainage basins on the western side of the property have been removed. That was a concern of the board, and further details on how the plan has been amended will be provided. So with that, I would like to call our first witness. This is not a hearing, although you may want to swear, or he's still sworn in from the last hearing. It's up to you. But first, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to turn it over to you to see if you have any questions.
No, that sounds great. Look forward to the details.
Great.
I could swear you in real quick. Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but?
Go through, the prior plan that was presented, as well as the changes that are being proposed and will potentially be developed into a fully engineered plan?
Certainly. So I'll go over a little bit of the details that Sean has indicated. Early on in the design stages, we came into the board with a plan that had full build-out for the site. At that full build-out, we were proposing a total building area of a little over 231,000 square feet, which include the building shown on this plan, but also included the addition of the building in this green area that was not developed. Further discussions with L'Oreal, they decided to phase the project and just come in for the initial early phases, which shows the building presented on the screen. This building has a total area of a little over 149,000 square feet. This building is 493 feet long and 292 feet wide.
And just to be clear, so that there's no confusion, the plan on the screen now is the plan that was presented at the December 6th hearing, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Road. And the basin was in a 50-foot buffer. So we took all the comments and the concern by the board, and we went back to the drawing board, and this is, takes a minute to load. So this is a comparison that side by side of the previous application, the December application on the left side of the page, and, I don't want to do that. And the proposed new application, zooming in on, apologize, just keep moving the page. The new building is on the right side of the application. So the new design, the building total area is a little over 219,000 square feet. That is a reduction of 12,000 square feet from the 231,000 square foot with the full build-out, but about 60,000 more than what was previously presented. The building is 400 feet long. Previous roughly about 68 feet and 130 feet further away from the property line because everything was brought back closer to the existing building. No basin on the west side of the building. We maintained all the existing vegetation within the 50-foot buffer and all the existing vegetation within the residential buffer on the northern side, and we supplemented it with evergreens to provide better buffering and visual obstruction. We eliminated the parking along the north side of the building. We are only providing a 24-foot paved driveway for emergency access with chains on either side of the access so it will not be open to the traffic. And we are honoring the 150-foot buffer on the northern side of the building. Additionally, what we have is we have two representative views. This would be one of views from Dahmer Road, and then as you go to the next page, these existing evergreens, they're about 8 to 10 foot high at planting. They grow about a foot a year. And this, to the right of this, is the proposed basing and the proposed building. So these were the majority of the concerns that the board had brought to our attention at the last hearing. We reduced the employee parking on the north side. That is eliminated completely. It's not open to the employees anymore, just in case of emergencies. And that was requested, I believe, by the fire department. They need full circulation around the building. The sound barrier or the sound wall will provide additional acoustical buffering from the residential homes. But also, as stated, we moved the building further away from the residential homes by 100 to 200 feet. It depends on which side of the building you're in. We feel that should address the majority of the concerns of the board. As Sean mentioned, this is an informal meeting just to get further feedback, solicit feedback from the board, and to see if this would address some of the concerns brought up back in December.
So I had a question. Yeah, the new one. Yeah, that. So the sound wall that's on sort of the northeast corner, what was the logic behind just that sort of bit of putting the sound wall there?
So the sound wall is at the location of the loading dock. This will be the heaviest operations, and it's just buffering the operation of the loading dock. There is no operational, no cars other than emergency vehicle traveling the north side of the building. And similar application, that would be something that would or should address the buffer, the noise level.
That's primarily to mitigate the noise then from the actual loading dock, the trucks that are parking there and so on?
Correct, and
Okay.
the trailers.
But
as
in
well.
terms of the noise that sort of originates from the overall warehouse, that wouldn't be mitigated by that wall then?
No.
And then the chains are there to signify that this is only for, you said, what is it, emergency? Or?
It's for fire department access. And going back to the noise, the site, it's a state requirement that we need to comply with the site ordinance. It's DEP regulated. And if the site violates that,
Is that the streamer? Yeah, yeah. So You know if there's any wildlife or anything in there? Is that just a stream, or is that just a part of a detention pond?
This is, the look is deceiving. When you zoom in on it, this is just some laid down branches and everything else. Based on our knowledge in this area, there is no any regulated areas. There's some regulated area further along the west side of the property, some wetland, and that's a result of localized ponding because there's a depression that's causing the water.
That's going to be left alone?
That would be eliminated.
Eliminated?
Correct. We have DEP permits that was approved, reviewed by the state, and approved to eliminate that ponding. It's breeds mosquitoes, and it becoming a nuisance. So it does not have any buffer associated with it, and it's, for the lack of a better word, it's just a depression that holds water.
So there's no like frogs or small fish or?
Between the emergency access and the building, and we have a fourth basin, which generally speaking, that was in the general location from the previous plan. So in total, we have 2 basins and 2 small depression, and these are more than adequate to address the stormwater management and the technical comments in the township engineer letter as well.
So the small depressions, where will they receive water from, say, downspouts from that side of the building?
That's a great question. So these depression, when you look at the building is setting higher, and then you have the road is sitting a little bit higher as well, the emergency access. So naturally, you're creating about a 1-foot depression, and to alleviate that, we just turn it almost into like a drainage swale with a couple of inlets. The roof leader's location, that will be piped underground, so it will not be visible, and that will be carried to the basins.
So these will essentially just have the water that falls from the sky on it.
Correct.
May I ask the board, does the board have any questions about, to make sure the board understood what he was showing you?
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I mean, I said a lot about this in December, so I'm really more interested in hearing what the rest of the board thinks in terms of, did they hit the mark?
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm really pleased that you did address our concerns. It's.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman, just as a reminder, we have a brief architectural presentation as well. So by all means, we welcome the questions and comments now, but there's also further information to be provided.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, you did take largely all of the substantive comments we made and incorporated them into your plan. The one thing that I would like the board to just think about is the sound wall. Is just the sound wall by the loading docks going to be sufficient, in your opinion? I mean, last time they didn't want to have a sound wall at all. Now they have one where the loading docks are. I assume that sound from the loading docks could go around that wall, so I don't know if the board would favor a contiguous wall that's, mirrors the building, the entire building.
And I'm trying to buffer it. And also very sympathetic with the residents and everything else. So what I would ask the board is, based on the aerial photograph of the site, the last residential home is roughly, I would say, like halfway through the building, which is roughly in this location. Would the board be amenable to extending the wall, the sound wall, sound barrier, up to this location, basically where the existing residential home stops? And then the remainder area is wooded. There is further vegetation, and that hopefully will address the board concern.
I mean, personally, I think I would like that. Do as much as we can to minimize any impact on the residents. The fact that there is not a full movement driveway back there and parking, and basically it's only emergency access now, helps a great deal. But yeah, I mean, I think the residents on Gary Court would probably appreciate having at least that extended.
Are taken so that in the future, if it's necessary to expand the wall to contain noise, it would be an easier process without actually making the expenditure at the outset in case it's not necessary?
Yeah, I mean, this is something we would have to look into. The one concern, the minute you extend this wall to the middle of the residential or the proposed building, your basin is on the opposite side of the wall. You want to be able to access these. If you take the wall and move it further back, closer to the residential home, you're cutting significant trees. So, and that's why we like to just take a closer look at this. If we can extend it a little further, we would do that. But we want to maintain access to the basin. It's going to be maintained, and we really don't want to be in a position where you have a wall and then you have the basin on the other side where you don't know if it's working. We would like to have that visual. So we'll try to extend the wall as much as we can, but I don't know where that's going to stop. We will look to.
Did we discuss hours of operation as well?
It was stated in the original application.
So what are they? To refresh my memory.
I remember.
Hold on.
Yeah. If we're intending to have this sort of very, very early or very, very late, that also sort of exacerbates the concern.
So with the beeping, on the trucks beeping and opening the doors, L'Oreal have control over that. I mean, they can regulate it, and they've been president or in the township for a long time, and I don't believe that concern has been brought up. We'll take another look at the sound wall, see what we can do to improve it. We believe what we are showing is adequate to address the noise associated with the trailers and the loading area.
If the truck noise is the biggest concern, that noise is coming from all along the right side, correct?
Correct, on the right side.
So you've agreed to extend the wall quite a bit. Does extending the wall any further actually going to have any effect on?
It might be inefficient, but I am not a acoustical expert, so I cannot really speak to that.
Well, I don't know, maybe you can look at that in a little more detail, but I do believe that your other suggestion in buffering the mechanics and shielding them in place on the roof has to be also helpful. I think that should be done.
Okay, and there are measures, I'm sure, that L'Oreal about the existing mechanical, and we will have to consult with the mechanical engineers to see what measures can be undertaken to muff the noise of the existing equipment. So we will take a look at that for our full application when we come back in front of the board.
Did we ever hear what the hours of operation were? Sammy's question?
Yeah, there's currently no limit on the hours of the existing facility, and there's not expected to be any changes.
Okay, so in terms of practicality, though, do tractor trailers, are they anticipated to come at all hours of the night, or?
No, I think tractor trailers are typically only arrive and unload during normal business hours.
So can we make that a stipulation that they will do that?
Let us.
It's something, I mean, we can't make that stipulation now anyway.
And, if the applicant would agree that, that's not going to be a concern, and it's not really a true 24/7 operation, then that's something that we'll have to weigh.
Okay, thank you.
So why don't we move to your architect, and we'll see if the board has any questions for him, and then we'll open to the public.
Actually, Mr. Chairman, can I ask just two questions?
Sure.
Is there a fence proposed along that northerly property line?
Yes, we will be proposing a chain link fence with the slats in it, privacy slats, which are consistent with the previous application.
Okay, the reason I ask is that the ordinance requires it, so it wasn't clear on the plans. And then, and there also is a fence along Dahmer. You proposed it pretty much right up on the street. I think you might want to look at doing the opposite, having the landscaping in the existing. Generally, I think the board wants to see the trees and the public, and put the fencing behind it. I think there's an existing fence, so you might want to line it with that existing and have it connect to it.
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, thank you.
I'm as an expert in the field of architecture, and there's been no changes to your licenses or credentials?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you. So, in your own words, could you please describe the building? I think a lot of it is the same, but there's been some major changes to the shape of it.
Sure. So starting off with the first page, just to offset what Mr. Thomas said on the civil drawings, this drawing shows the overall building shape. The gray tone is the existing building, and the lighter tone here with the crosshatch is the proposed addition with the new footprint. The second sheet is just really an enlarged view of what the addition would be. Obviously, the interiors has not been designed and fully developed at this point. Going over to the third sheet just shows the proposed elevations. Similar to the last hearing we had, the building height has remained the same. We have 50 feet from the finished floor to the top of the parapet. It's the same precast concrete panels to match the existing building with typical
the finish, and that's compliant with the zoning ordinance, correct?
Correct.
So no variances on the height. Chairman?
Turn it over to the board. I don't have anything.
I think from what I can see, it probably looks fine. Maybe when you come for the formal hearing, you could bring a colorized representative of it.
Yes, of course.
Sounds good. I think right now we'll just open to the public for any comments the public may have. So I'll move to do that. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting is open to the public for any comments that they would like to make. Realizing that there will be a subsequent hearing as well, but we'd love to hear your input now.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Johari Powell, 11 Gary Court, Somerset. I'd just like to say thank you to the board for all the questions.
Reduced by the wall.
Okay, noted.
Shirley Tallman again from 57 Tallman Lane in Canal Walk. And I have a question for L'Oreal. How do you feel about the future development with more warehouses still being proposed and the competing traffic that your traffic patterns will have to deal with? Have you thought about that?
First of all, I am not L'Oreal, but I'll undertake
Oh, I'm
an answer.
sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an attorney that represents L'Oreal. L'Oreal is
But I mean, you're being paid by them, so you know what we're talking about here, young man, don't you?
Thank you for calling me a young man.
Well, you're younger than I am.
When we appear for the formal hearing, there will be traffic testimony provided. A traffic study was provided already as part of the application. There's not a whole lot of impact from this expansion of an existing manufacturing facility.
Entire township, right? Am I right? Yeah. I mean, it's a massive undertaking because we didn't have one. And I don't know that that's complete, and it might be, but I'm not up to date on that. But what I'm saying to you is, Are you thinking about that for future business?
L'Oreal has been at this location for about 40 years, and they're a long-standing pillar of the community. And they are committed to this location. They're committed to the residents of Franklin Township. They're committed to their employees who live in Franklin Township and the surrounding areas. And what's most important to them is to be able to expand at this location to continue the positive impact that they've had on the surrounding community. When it comes to traffic off-site, I don't think they've put a whole lot of thought into it, and it's not overly relevant to them, as their main concern is to expand this facility and to continue to be positive citizens of Franklin Township.
Understood, but my point is that you should be thinking about that because it could impact the corporation, and their strategic plan could change on a dime if they can't get to where they want.
The revised plan that you've shown, we would like you to investigate the extension of the sound wall more to the, I believe, west towards to the residences, and also be able to testify as to a little bit more to the hours of operation, and some sort of sound data that would show us like an estimate of what the noise would be expected to be from those 11 bays, and what it would be with the sound wall, the way you've proposed it, and with an extension. I think that's the data we need.
Chairman, if I may add, I like this suggestion around the mechanicals as well.
Yes, yes, definitely. Anybody else have anything to add that I might have missed?
I just appreciate the comments from the folks who live in Gary Court, and I'd love to hear more about what the existing sound is like for you and your neighbors at the next hearing. So just, if they want to come out, encourage them.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This has had its intended purpose to elicit.
31st?
Is
Okay.
just fine. Yes. Yeah, Ms. Woodbury, I mean, we can talk about this, not at the meeting, but if you could give us a date for submission of fully engineered plans at your earliest convenience, that would be helpful.
I can give it to you right now. Hold on. So if you're going to be heard May 15th, the packets have to go out the week of May 6th. The staff members need at least 3 weeks to review things. So we're looking at no later than like April 15th, the week of that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it.
If there's no other business tonight, move to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
So I can get